welcome from wherever you're tuning in today. We're just so grateful that you're here. We thank you for tuning in and joining us. You know, ladies, last week, well, we got to go back to March 15th. Enough is enough. Don't hear that? Wait a minute. I'm getting feedback. Did you guys hear it? Oh, okay. So, anyway, and then last Sunday we started talking about pride, and this Sunday we have the Alicia Johnson that is kind of like the catalyst from last week that started us on the pride, and I'm just so grateful that we have talked about it, and today we're going to continue to talk about it. Today it's going to be don't let pride destroy what purpose is trying to do. Let's get started. So as I said, I want to welcome everyone for joining us today. I'm excited for the two beautiful ladies that are here with me today, and I'm grateful. I appreciate the fact that they're here and that they're on, and they are ready. They are ready. So on Leslie's Lessons Learned, we talk about health, we talk about faith, we talk about relationship, we talk about many facets of life and experiences that we have had and what we've gone through to kind of help you through the process. A lot of times we go through things and we think that no one else has been through it. So this is why we're here. And last week we had confessions. We had a whole lot of confessions between Minister Wanda and I. And let me tell y'all, this week the light will shine on me. So, but listen, those of you that have looked in the mirror and said, "Is life worth living?" You looked in the mirror and said, uh, "Why am I here? What is my purpose?" And I want to speak to you today, and I want you to tell yourself that when you look in the mirror from now on, I have purpose. And I'm here because Yahweh has allowed me to be here. I want you to speak differently about yourself. I want you to understand that you're not here or you're not still here just to exist. You are here to thrive. You have something in life that you still have to do. So as you continue to look in the mirror, I want you to change your words. When you change your words, you change your world. And let's look at that video somewhere in here. So let me pull it up. Um, mhm. While I'm pulling this up, I want to do one other thing. Let me see if I could bring this up as well. Not this week. What is that under? White. Okay, here it is. Did it come up? Well, came up differently. But next week, and that is not the one I wanted, but next week is Alicia Johnson's birthday, and we want to celebrate her while she's here because she won't be, well, as far as I know, she won't be here next week. I don't know what might happen, but I just wanted to say happy birthday, Alicia. We love you and we appreciate you so much. And from us to you, we send you hearts and X's all day long. So I did wanted to make sure I did that. That was the raggedy one, the one I wanted. Did not come up, but I hope you got the message.
And it was not raggedy.
It wasn't. It sure
No.
looked like it. Oh,
do to my sign?
I wrote the same, but in different words.
Thanks, love.
And we like to play that every week. It's significant to us that uh, you can live in a world full of color and never see it, never see the brightness, the beauty, never see past where you are. And for the most of us, a lot of times that's where we get stuck. We get stuck where we are and we can't see past that. Now, I'm going to let Minister, she loves to talk about this, but here you have a man that can't see, a woman in dark glasses that could represent so many things, but was able to see that he, the people that were walking by was disrespectful. Some wasn't even putting it on the mat, you know. And so I'm going to turn it over to Minister Wanda. And yeah,
I
that
think you were
gets
doing,
me every time.
yeah, you were doing a great job. There's so many messages in that one video, how we can be not sympathetic to other people's situations because we're so caught up in what we're doing, where we're going, where we got to be, our own life circumstances. And here this is someone who is disabled, who is in a situation where that he literally has to sit and beg for alms because he doesn't have enough to provide for himself. That's enough to get someone's attention anytime someone is sitting there begging. I know today is a little bit different, but even look at where they are, that he's sitting there begging and people are just going about their day walking by. And matter of fact, the lady was about to walk straight past him, right?
She did.
She walked straight past him. Look, I'm going to work. I have and you watch her, she has on shades, but it's gloomy. She has a splash of color in her shoes, but she's in all black with a very small splash of white. I don't know if the shades are because to me, I'm going to approach this day like the sun is shining. And she walks past him and she sees his sign and she takes it and she rewords it. And suddenly, the amount that people are giving or the amount of people that are giving to him has suddenly changed. And people aren't just walking by him now, they're taking notice to this person who is obviously needing because he's sitting here and he's begging. And his sign said at first, "Help me, I can't see," something like that. And then she changed it to, "It's a beautiful day." Now, that in itself says a lot because, like we said, it's gloomy. Look like it just finished rain.
Raining.
It's dark. It's gray. Y'all know how it look after it finished raining and it's dark and it's gray. The only thing that is good outside is the smell of the rain, the crisp smell of the air. But other than that, it's like, oh, child, let me go back inside, right? But she said, "It's a beautiful day and I can't see it." And that perspective changed the way people saw him and his situation. And even the way they gave was more enthusiastic. At first, it was just throwing it. Wherever it hits, it hits. You
Because it was normal. That's it. They probably went from one person to the next person and they all were saying the same thing. Maybe not I'm blind, but the fact that I need help.
Somebody wants something. Shoot, I got my own problems. Let me
Yeah,
get a cardboard and sit out here too, because I got
right.
bills due, right?
Exactly.
Everybody wants something. But when she wrote it differently, it changed the way people saw him. And that's what we have to do. It says when you change your words, you change your world. And that's what we have to learn how to do. It might be gloomy, but it's still a beautiful day. I might have a disability, but it's still a beautiful day. I might have bills due, circumstances, situations sick in my body, don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but it's a beautiful day. Why? Because with Yahweh, all things are possible. Nothing that is impossible, nothing is absolutely impossible for him. Um, I love Nollywood movies, and one of the things that they say is what God cannot do does not exist. And so I'm like, for real, at any moment, somebody's situation can change. But what we don't realize is that we fuel our situations, our atmospheres, our circumstances because of what comes out of our mouth. So we have to learn to change our words. And when we do that, we change our world.
Yeah, and that's true. What we have to do is not see it for what it is, but see it for what it should be. And that's something that we as a people have to learn to do. The people of God, of Yahweh, we have to learn to understand that. And the only way we can do that is to understand that He is in control, like you said. And a lot of times we look at it and we feel we're in control. We have to handle it. And because we have to handle it, it has to be done a certain way. And He's like, your way is not my way. Your thoughts is not my thoughts. And here He takes a simple sign to change the trajectory of someone's day. Alicia, how
Good
are you?
morning. Happy to be here.
Good, good. Alicia is one of my mentors, and she has helped me change the trajectory of my life and the way I see things and think about things, and that my hats off to you. It's not just me; it's a whole lot of women. I'm like, Lord, thank you for not giving me that task. But the trajectory of the way I see things, the trajectory of the way I was speaking has changed because of her. I'm speaking of Alicia now, so anybody else, I'm speaking of Alicia, and I want to say thank you for that. Thank you for allowing Yahweh to use you, and that you will receive so much poured back into your life for all that you give out. Listen, y'all, she's somewhere all the time, secretly. She don't always tell us. She's she has the 4:30 call Monday through Friday. Then we have the 5 o'clock call Monday through Friday. And then you get pop-up videos. She's always in the making, always trying to encourage people. And I'm glad that she had the time today to be with us because her schedule is not like it used to be. When we first started, she was on every Sunday with me. And now the schedule has become so busy that when she can come on, I'm honored. I'm honored. So look, I know Wanda is excited anytime she comes on. Just to speak her name, it's like, look, y'all, when it's me, she's like, hey, good morning. When it's Alicia, hey, Alicia. It's a whole different attitude. So her words change.
Y'all get to see
Alicia,
her all the time. I can't be up at 12 midnight to be on the 4:30 call and the 5:30 call. So y'all get to see her all the time.
is that what it is?
Yes, ma'am.
So
That's my story,
Alicia,
and I'm sticking to it.
yeah. Alicia, her words changed when her world changed when she saw you, and her words changed along with it. So,
Listen, can I just tell you that I still feel that hug she gave me? Like,
mm,
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I know this was
no, I'm just
your
random.
moment with Miss Alicia, and, and I'm sitting there first like, how you feel you got to share your mentor? Because I know I got Dr. Mathis and I'll be mad. I'm like, y'all stop calling her mama. That's my mama. But I want to be honest that, that hug she gave me, I still hold on to that hug. The other day, yesterday, I went downstairs and um, I could see you and her walking through my house and praying and whatnot. And I could still see you sitting on the steps, you know, quietly praying. And all I can hear her say is, it might get worse before it gets better, but it's going to be all right. So yes, the meeting that we had and being able to have Miss Alicia in my presence was priceless and something that I will hold on to for life. So yes, Miss Alicia, I concur with everything Leslie said. You are so valuable to the kingdom and you mean so much to so many people. Even when we hear you speak, that's why I'm like, yeah, you come so we can hear what you have to say on pride, because there are things that just get into your soul and it makes you want to change. And shoot, Miss Alicia is like, I'm just going about my father's business. I dare not get to heaven. And he say, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. So she was like, I ain't got time. I got to do what he told me to do. I've had enough knocks upside the head, pushed down the steps. I'm going to do what he told me to do. So Miss Alicia, we so appreciate you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Ooh, I'm excited.
So, Alicia, tell them about the 1212. I have in the link also started last Sunday, putting in there the free forgiveness challenge. That
Mhm,
if anybody wanted to join it, they could. Could you just tell us about it?
mhm. So we have opened up, I don't even know, is it open yet? I know we're opening it this weekend. We're going to I guess let me give you a little background about the forgiveness work. Everyone needs forgiveness. Everyone needs to learn how to operate in forgiveness. Everyone needs to understand how forgiveness is preventing a lot of the things that you want to happen in your life from happening. And I had to learn this. And like I, share all the time, I made a promise to God, if you show me how to turn this around, I'm squealing like a pig. I'm gonna tell everybody because I was, the enemy is a duplicator, God is a creator. And I see so many duplications of who I used to be. And that
Mm,
is an indicator that a lot of people are falling into those traps. So forgiveness is one of those recurring um programs that we have, or unforgiveness is one of those recurring programs that we have. We get, like Dr. Vicky says, live an unoffended life. We're constantly offended. So we've created the forgiveness community, which it will be an evolving community. And anyone who has done work with me, we are constantly changing, tweaking things, adjusting things, doing things in the way that God tells us to do it. So this forgiveness community is one that we are just rolling out. So it's going to evolve and change. But the crux of the matter is that we want people to have a safe space to come to on a daily basis, any time of the day, multiple times a day, to receive the guidance that you need, the wisdom that you need, to share in other people's stories of forgiveness, unforgiveness, so that you have a safe place to land and you have the encouragement that you need to say, if they got through adultery, I can get through adultery. If they got through sibling rivalry, then I can get through it. If they got through, whatever the case may be, we want people to understand that they're not doing this work alone, that there are tools available to you. There are there are resources, and we attack everything spiritually, mentally, and physically. So spiritually, we all have access to the resources that we need to change our life. So the forgiveness community is one of those communities. Everyone is it's an open community. to join. We will monitor it heavily. It will be a monitored community in that it is a no judgment zone. If we, if there's shenanigans or anything like that, you'll be out, what they say, the New York second, because we're very guarded about that. But it is for people that seriously want to heal and to receive the benefits of living a life of forgiveness.
Amen. And I'm gonna let you talk. We done talked long enough, but
Mhm.
listen, one of the things that hooked me to the 1212 at that time was 365, AJ 365,
Mhm.
and was those particular words that you just said. This is a no judgment community, and I was like, hey, what? Huh? And I was like, I'm sold just from those words, no judgment. And I promise you that if there's any judgment going on, you better keep it to yourself, because if she finds out, there will be a change. So,
Mhm.
yes, those are one of the words that, Alfreda's is wine. Mine is no judgment. So I just said that because I know she's listening. But yes, I appreciate that so much. So we talked last week, but I'm going to let, before you talk, there was a list that Minister Wanda had read to us. I want her to read that. And then I want us to allow you to talk about pride and your way.
All right. So last week we went over the obvious ways that we can have pride, but we also looked at some undetected ways that pride can show up in our lives. Now there were 12 things on this list, so I'll go through it. If you need to write them down, you can. But number one was struggling to receive correction. You might say, I'm open to feedback, but internally feel defensive, misunderstood, or quick to just justify yourself. Pride says, I already see clearly, but humility says, let me examine myself honestly. Number two, over explaining yourself, constantly needing people to understand your intentions, your heart, your reasons. It can be rooted in control, wanting to manage how you are perceived. Then number three is silent comparison, not always thinking you're better, but constantly measuring yourself to other people. At least I don't do that. I would have handled that differently. Pride doesn't always elevate you. It just keeps you in the ranking system.
I know I gotta stop you because that last one, um, read that one again, not the one before the one you just did. I
Uh,
know.
Over explaining yourself.
Read it. You said I know it.
So silent comparison, not always thinking you're better than someone else, but constantly measuring yourself to someone else. The example is, at least I don't do that, or I would have handled that differently.
So you might not be able to go any further. Alicia might have to be taken over. But this week we were in the feast, and the third day, Yahweh started dealing with me. And every we read Exodus all the time, and we read Leviticus all the time. But when I was in Exodus and I was going through uh, the Israelites and how they were acting and performing, and the Father said, "Now I want you to look at that again." And when I looked at it again, He says, "Do you see yourself?" And when I began to look at it again and murmuring and complaining, yeah, you know, and the reason why I'm bringing that up is because when we always talk about the Israelites, we talk about it in past tense. Them Israelites do this and this, and he was like, It's still the same today. And from that point on, I had to repent because that was a form of pride. Looking at them the way they were, and they did this and they did that. And he began to show me myself in the midst of it. And when he did that, I can't even explain how I felt and how I desired to really change and please him, even in that. Maybe not to the extent that they were, because we know they were prideful. They wanted their own gods and all these things. But there's things that he has told me to do that I have not done. And guess what I said? What you say, I will do. Isn't that what they said? And he began to show me myself in that and just how critical we can be about somebody else and still be sitting in that same space. So I don't know, Alicia, if you want to tune in here or you want her to continue reading the
Oh
rest
no,
of it.
the list is good.
Okay.
I'll jump. It's like double dutch. I'll jump in
Okay.
here when
Okay.
Okay. So difficulty celebrating others fully. You celebrate, but there's a quiet sting or a subtle, what about me? Pride struggles when someone else shines in an area you value. So it's not even that thing where you just have an issue celebrating. It's an issue where you're just as good and you don't understand, or it's something that is really important to you. So when somebody else gets celebrated there, you're happy, but then on the inside, it's like,
Scratching your head.
right, right, right. This one, independence that rejects help. I got it. I'll figure it out. I don't want to bother anybody. This can look strong, but it may actually resist vulnerability and dependence. Taking offense easily, feeling slighted, overlooked, or disrespected, even when it may not be intentional. Pride is highly sensitive to how it is treated.
Mm,
Pride is highly sensitive.
that's deep.
That's a that's a spirit.
That,
Mhm.
yeah.
Pride is
Yeah.
highly sensitive
You done
to
crossed
how
over.
it's treated.
You done crossed over.
Ooh, ooh. All right. Needing credit, even quietly. You may not ask for recognition out loud, but you feel it internally when it's not given. They didn't even acknowledge me.
That's real.
Mhm. Perfectionism, not just excellence, but trying your worth, but tying your worth to getting it right. So it's not excellence, but you tie your worth to it being perfect. Pride says, I must not fail. Humility says, I can grow through the failure.
Mm.
That's me. That's me. There are times that I really just do operate in excellence, but then there are other times that it's just like my worth is tied into this. I cannot fail. I will not fail.
Yeah.
And didn't even realize the last week that's a form of pride.
Yeah.
Ooh. All right. False humility. We're almost finished. Downplaying yourself outwardly while inwardly wanting to be affirmed. Downplaying yourself outwardly while inwardly wanting to be affirmed. Oh, it was nothing. hoping that someone insists that it was.
Insecurity. Insecurity. It's real.
Okay.
In all of these, somebody can find themselves in a whole lot of these.
I need not to be finding myself. Even if it was like once or twice, you think about you was like, I remember when I kind of felt like that. You know, you downplay yourself, you know, but inwardly you want somebody to be, you know, patting you on the back or you're amazing. Oh no, it was nothing. And you say more. Okay, 11. Avoiding situations where you're not the strong one.
Wow.
In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Gravitating towards spaces where you feel competent and avoiding places where you're the beginner. Pride prefers control over growth. 12, and the last one, holding on to hurt. Replaying what someone did, holding on to the rightness of your pain. Pride says, I deserve justice. Humility says, I release this, even if it costs me.
My God. I'm offended because I feel like somebody's just watching me and just writing all of these down. Like it was
Mind your own business. I ain't asked you to write all this stuff.
Why y'all write all of that down about me? I was, oh my Lord, Jesus. Yeah, that was that pride. And the thing is, for me, it hit me like a ton of bricks because I knew I had issues. That was not the concern. I knew I had issues. But pride was not one of them that I considered to be my own. I was like, I'm probably one of the most humble people that you would ever meet. I'm malleable. You know, I just kind of, I'm almost a pushover. You know, I just go with the flow. God said, okay, let's run this through the litmus test. I was so prideful that my pain became my crown. Like I was wearing that. I was prideful through my pain. I was proud. It was crazy. Like pride is so sinister that it will have you thinking that you're justified in what you're doing, that you're justified in how you're thinking, at least you don't have to go through this. At least you don't have this. At least you don't. And God was like, how do you even sound? And when God stripped, that was the thing. When God wants to do a serious work with you, God will isolate you and put you all by yourself so that pride, all of those things, all of those issues that you have, you are the common denominator. You don't have anybody to blame it on. You don't have anybody to point a finger at. You don't, because you're by yourself. God stripped everything and everyone away from me. And because of that, that was one of the greatest learning experiences that I had. So before I forget, I want to make sure that I give people a replacement for pride. See, pride belongs to the enemy. That's the enemy's territory. And we have to always understand that God is a God of decency, God is a God of order, and God is a God of balance. God doesn't put us here for us to just be, woe is me, I shouldn't have. No, the heavenly equivalent of pride is gratefulness. So it doesn't mean that you cannot be air quote, proud of your accomplishments or happy with the things that you are doing. But when God began to work with me, because the enemy works in extremes, okay? So once God starts to reveal pride, then the enemy wants to take you to that other extreme. Well, I ain't worthy of nothing. I'm just gum on the shoe of heaven. I just can't do, I'm just, Lord, if you don't get, God was like, if you don't stop.
Insecurity.
Yeah, you just go from one extreme to, so for those people that are struggling with pride and wanting to get out of pride, please don't go to the other extreme and just become like a dish rag. Okay. Don't just become something that can't be used.
Or with what
Grateful.
they call a weeping puppy.
Right. Don't do that. Gratefulness. So when people say things to me, it's like, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that God has used me. I'm grateful that God has given me gifts and talents that can be used for others. I'm grateful. Grateful is what you need to be, not prideful. But most people are filled with pride unknowingly. And when you get to the root of it, it's like everything just starts to unravel. So for me,
Yeah.
when Leslie, you were talking about like starting to read the Bible from a personal perspective. See, when I was raised Catholic, so when I honestly tell you, I did not pick up a Bible to read it, like to really read a Bible until I was like in my 20s. Because we had the missalettes, we had, it was spoon fed. I mean, we knew scripture. I mean, they would pick out what you would read and things like that. And everything was very regimented. And we had like religion was a class and things like that. But as far as reading the Bible for myself, that didn't happen until later in life. And when I started to read the Bible, just like you, it was them. Well, that's what they did back then. That's what they did. But then, and that was through like Bible studies and when it was like directed by a teacher or something like that. And it was always taught from the perspective, not put you in the scenario, but to look at and to study history, to study it historically, study it, from a biblical. But then when God took me to the side and said, no, we're going to read this like a third grader. We're going to read this like a second grader. You are all of the characters. You are all of the characters. And in putting myself in that place, oh, the humility. The one that really got me was the woman at the well. And I was like, oh my gosh, if that scenario happened right now, who would I be? Who would I be? And I was like, at this point in time, I'm excited because I would be here. I'd be like, Lord, you know that whole situation. You know how that went down. You know how everything started. This, honesty, truth, integrity, no matter how bad it makes you feel, pride will keep you lying. Pride will keep you out of heaven's reach. And this is the funny thing. Is that when God really wants to do something with you, heaven is going to pull you to the side. It was just Jesus and that woman at the well. It wasn't like a whole group of women. It was just it was just the two of them. And when heaven gets serious about your transformation, about your edification, about your growth, heaven is going to pull you to the side. And how does heaven do that in this economy, in this environment? Heaven does it through your conflicts, through those things that really get on your nerves, those things that you want to run from. It's funny because when things are going well in the world, when things are going with that group think, when everyone's thinking the same way and everyone's doing the same thing and everyone's moving in the same direction, you don't have that sense of separation. You don't have that sense of, how can I put it, individuality. But when heaven starts to work with you, the only way that heaven can really get your attention is to remove you from the crowd. And so in this environment, removing you from the crowd means taking you away from the general consensus, taking you away from mainstream thought. And most people don't like that feeling. So they'll hang on to pride longer than they should. And it's harder to how can I put it? Course correct. It's harder to, there are a lot of people that have gotten caught up in the dragnet of things that are happening right now in the world because pride kept them stuck. And what do I mean by this? I could have been one of these people. I could have been one of these people. See, God dealt with me. This doesn't mean that heaven doesn't deal with you. It just means that heaven deals with you separately. You know, people right now, it's job loss. It's all of these things. I lost my job when everybody else had a job. Like, that's God. That's God saying, I need to put you right here. Because, see, we working together. We, like, you going to stick out like a sore thumb when heaven is on the case. You always want heaven to break you instead of the world breaking you.
Yes, ma'am.
When the world breaks you, that's an indicator that you have ignored or you have missed a lot of the signs that heaven wants to show you. So it doesn't mean you avoid pain. It doesn't mean you, all of the things that people are saying, the fear, like, how am I going to pay this? How is this going to happen? All of those things, I have experienced those things, but I have experienced it at God's timing. And God's timing is always impeccable. When you avoid and don't listen or choose to follow the world's path, then you're going to get what the world requires or what the world dictates. And if by some chance you are caught up, see, this is like the air quote fun part, to watch how people navigate different scenarios. There are people out here who are just so caught up in the world, they don't know what their next move is. But there's some people out here who God told them it was coming and they ready. They like, bring it. Okay. All right, we gonna do this. I have healed my family. God, I see why you told me to do that. I see why you told me to call my big mama them 6 months ago and to make it right. Because guess what? Big mama said that she gonna sign her house over to me and I'm gonna be able to take, I got a place to live. I'm so grateful that you told me to do this. And it looked like it was a demotion at the time and I didn't really want to make less money. But God, you told me to do that. And now because you did that, you sitting differently than than other people. So pride is what keeps people stuck in scenarios that the world uses to destroy you. So it doesn't matter where you are. It's important that you listen to how God, there is no scenario in life that God cannot navigate you through. But it's very important that you do not allow pride to keep you stuck. And so that's today in watching, just like a lot of things that are happening in the world, a lot of things happening to people, God has placed me in a position where I'm able to see the same scenarios in people, but handled differently because of their level of obedience. There are people who are dealing with certain health issues and certain situations that are, when you look at it at face value, it's a very bad situation. It's very unfortunate. But when you go deeper and God gives you that inside track to see how things unfolded, you really know that it did not have to be this way.
Right.
Your pride and your disobedience have gotten you here. And then you see someone else going through a very similar situation, and you see them navigating it differently because they put their pride to the side and obedience is moving them through differently. So God is a creator. The enemy is a duplicator. So the enemy will duplicate the same illness, duplicate the same scenario, and duplicate the same, situations.
He's a
But how
carbon copy.
yeah, it's just boom, 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 boom. And the enemy is just sitting back and watch. Now, what you gonna do with this? Now, what you gonna do with this? What you gonna do with that? Like for us, divorce, adultery, that wasn't nothing new.
No.
That wasn't nothing new. Divorce, adultery, da 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 da. And when the enemy, when it crossed our paths, the enemy is just waiting, because the trajectory of it is meant to kill, steal, and destroy. So the enemy would just drop it and be like, okay, boom, boom, boom. And
over and over again.
Over and over again. And 9 times out of 10, it works.
It works.
9 times out of 10, you sprinkle that thing with pride, you sprinkle that thing with arrogance, you sprinkle that. He done seasoned it up real good, okay? But when God deadens or restricts your taste buds, or God starts to work what God needs to work, you now become the example. Like, you become the one that God can use. So for our, like Mike and I, that's one of the things that I mentioned. That's one of our superpowers. We know how to put pride to the side. Like, we'll sit there, we'll argue a little bit, but it's like, let me sit. Now, what you said again? Yeah, that does make sense. What I said, that didn't even sound right. Okay, thank you. Not always having to be right, not always having to have the last word, not always having to be on top. And so pride is one of those things that, if left unchecked, it will destroy you.
It will destroy you. Yeah, it would destroy you. And that's a good point, because, and I'll always go back to the Israelites. Out of all the stories, for some reason, that just sticks with me. But can you imagine that they were taken out of Egypt with a purpose, and there was a destiny for them to get to that they never got to, because of their pride, because of their all those things Minister Wanda spoke about. They never got to their purpose was destroyed because of self-willness. Not willing to let go, not willing to submit.
And that's where, like, in the world that we live in now, what does that look like today?
Exactly.
See, a lot of times we miss the opportunity to transfer the lesson over to something that is usable today. But what does that translate into today? It looks like heaven wants you to prosper. Heaven wants you to be abundant. Heaven wants you to have all of these things. But in order for heaven to get you to where heaven needs you to go,
you gotta go.
You're going to have to release that 10,000 square foot home.
Yeah.
Oh no, I worked for this. I did. See, that's pride right there.
Come on.
God is telling you, you got to go somewhere. And then another one is that God wants to take you somewhere. God wants you to get somewhere. And God says, you're going to have to step down. Like, you're at this level at your job, but I'm going to need you to take a lesser position.
Embarrassed. That's embarrassing.
Do you know I have this degree? Do you know how hard I've worked for this? See, God wants to put you back into the stock room so that when you come back out, you gonna own a company. But you go, because it's
it's what's in front of our eyes. It's what we see.
Right. And then I'm sure Wanda, like, with I'm gonna hit the hair thing. Listen. A lot of times people be like, because for me, honey, I love my hair is flourishing, okay? But with that, sometimes you gotta cut all of it off. Like, you gotta go back.
Quite often.
In order to see what God, and you got to go through I call it the humble beginnings. I call it, what they call it, the teeny weeny afro, whatever it is, you got to go through.
What she say? I curl a little bit of hair.
A little,
exactly.
Literally sometimes. I got needle nose pliers.
Yes.
But
But
can
anyway,
I,
Rodney, go ahead. Yes.
in this instance, let me tell you, 2010, Yahweh took me out. I was driving to work one day. He said, "This is your last week at the salon." Now, mind you, I was down to like a couple clients, and a couple is a couple, two.
Wow.
And I was like, what is this about? I've never had this happen in my life. What is going on? And I'm driving to work, and he said, "This your last week." I said, "Oh, okay." And we booth rent week to week, but I was kind. I gave her a 2 weeks notice, packed up my stuff, went home, started buying things like I was going somewhere, like, right. And I'm like, okay, you told me to leave. Now what we doing? What we doing? And then suddenly there was this girl that wanted to, she had actually come to me before about doing an apprenticeship with her, and meaning she'd have to be on my license and all that. And I was like, I don't even know if I want to be bothered with that. You on my license? Yeah, I don't know. So I decided to go ahead and take her on. And she calls me after I'm obedient and I leave. She calls me and she says, "Guess what? We got a suite." I'm like, "What you mean we got a suite?" I put in for a suite and they called me, but I can't actually have it because I don't have a license. But because you have a license, we can go in there together. In actuality, everything will be in your name, but it'll be our suite. And I'm like, okay. I was happy, but I wasn't really happy about it, right? And she was like, "You can pick the colors and all that." So I picked the colors and all that. And I was like, "Yeah, well, I do. Oh, okay, but whatever." Went in there. Can I tell you, she might not have lasted maybe 2 months in that suite because everything was in my name. She left. She left. So from 2010 up until 2019, I had my own suite. Moved from that small one to a bigger one. Fast forward to 2019. I promise you, it's a method to the madness. 2019, around July, August, clientele started shrinking again. I'm struggling paying the rent, and I already know what this means. And I'm like, what are you telling me? Are you telling me to close the doors again? And so, yeah, he's telling me to close the doors. And this time it hurts because I'm like, I don't understand why you would give me something and take it from me. Where am I supposed to go? I was like, because I can't work anywhere. My atmosphere is serious. And there was a lady that wanted me to come with her. And I was like, she late and she loud. I can't do this. And so a client of mine told me about this place in Brentwood. She was like, "You would like it, you would fit." Went in there, beautiful salon, 41 stations, and didn't know at the time, but the owners are saved. Went in there and I went home and I said, "Clearly, you're not telling me to close my place to go into booth renting again. Really? You gave me something and you want me to close it to go in to rent a booth." I closed my salon. I'm not going to lie, it wasn't easy. I cried. I went there. He said, "Now learn everything you can." When I tell you, they just did last week their 20-year anniversary because they've been in business together. Trina and Miss Kim, beautiful ladies, and went in there. And I had never worked with a group of ladies like this because I swore I would never be in a salon again with a bunch of women. We crazy and we a trip, right? I was like, if it ain't some men up in there, I ain't going. But this is the most amazing group of women. I learned how to work together. I learned what a real family is like. And can I tell you, we're a melting pot? It's not just all Black, because I had gotten used to just working with all Black. We have Indian, we have different ethnicities, and we all work together like a family. Like, I can ask them for anything. There's no gatekeeping. I need help. What do we do? He said, "I want you to learn not just learn to work with people, but learn and understand how a salon is run. And um October. So I was there, I went, I handled it, loved it. October, around August, September of 2024, they opened some suites next door. And I said, Yahweh, I really would love to have my own suite again. Can I tell you? October, I left October 2019. October 2024, I got the keys to my own suite again. Same, same people, just moved next door. When Yahweh says, if you be faithful over a few things, I'll
Amen.
make you ruler over much. If you are obedient, just like Alicia was saying, that's why I told the story, because I had my own suite. What you mean close my doors and go into a salon and rent a booth? I'm a business owner. Well, you still going to be a business owner under somebody else's umbrella. And because I did that and I was obedient, what, not 4 or 5 years later, I was able, I can trust you again. Here's your own suite.
Amen.
You know, children of Israel, instead of complaining and murmuring, and like Alicia said, if you just allow the lesson, if you just allow and not let, what if pride would have been like, I'm gonna stick this out. We gonna figure out how to do this. I'm gonna get a loan. I'm gonna beg, borrow, and plead. I'm not giving up this week.
Mhm. I love it. I love one thing that I teach is don't quit another thing, because when God closes it, it's perfect. It is perfect. When you hear God say, these are your last two clients, you see how heaven was preparing you by dwindling down the clients. It was a perfect close. It wasn't like you closing it and you got 100 clients on the books and you got to look, I ain't doing this no more. I got to move on. I got to move on. See, that's open. Like you got too many loose ends. You can always, heaven's closure always leaves clues. God is a God of decency. God is a God of order. God isn't just taking care of your dream. God is taking care of everyone else involved in the process. So heaven is not going to leave 100 heads undone just so you can have your selfish desire. Or, God considers everyone that is a part of the process. So that is a beautiful demonstration of when I say don't quit another thing, you don't have to quit it, because when heaven orchestrates it, heaven has accounted for everything. And that you said that with each instance, your clientele had dwindled because heaven was preparing everyone so that no one would lack. There is nothing worse. I've been that person. When you are out of alignment and you are caught up in somebody else's craziness. I have had those hairstylists and I go, oh, she don't work here no more. Wait, what? I'm looking real crazy. I'm like, wait, and I love the way they did I loved all of these things, and I go up in there and now they've left me hanging. That's not God. See, if it were God, God would have been like, okay, it's time for you to start looking for someone else, or this person will give you a referral. God does everything decently and in order, so there aren't any gaps, so that there aren't, even with the with the book of Exodus, like fresh manna, God took care of everything. Heaven didn't say like you're gonna have to, struggle for your food, your clothes, all of that, shoes, things didn't wear out. Like God took care of everything.
Mm-hmm.
But we're the ones that mess it up. And I'm so happy. I'm gonna have to share this clip that part on our SLE call when we our next SLE call, because that's one of the messages that it was so interesting. Just I don't even know, all the days are coming together, but when God is working, God is the creator of time. God is not bound by time. And because God is not bound by time, God is going to take all of the time that is needed to perfect the work. And so that was one of the messages that, like, God brought us together, like that's our spirit-led entrepreneurs. And God brought us all together at a particular time so that God could do a perfecting work in us, so that when the time comes, we are all able to work together harmoniously. And so that environment that heaven placed you in with those two ladies who are bringing everything together harmoniously, that takes time. You said 20 something years they've been working together. Most people can't last 20 months. Most people can't last 20 days. 20 years for the perfecting of the work so that people can come together and work harmoniously. The other thing you said, I can't wait. We having an event, SLE people on here. Y'all just don't tune in. So harmoniously, understanding that when God puts things together, you said something about women can't work together. Like, that was one of the things. I didn't want a group, and I sure didn't want a group of women. Okay. No, not doing it. Not doing it. I would be the only female in a group of men, because I'd be like, I hang with the boys first. Like, all my friends, this is how crazy it was. My sister and I, when we lived together, we were going to have a cookout. I'm going somewhere with this. We were going to have a cookout. And I said, well, put your list together, and I'm going to put my list together. We look like hoes, okay? I said, we don't look good. Mama would not be proud. Her list wasn't up but a bunch of guys. My list wasn't up but a bunch of guys. Because I couldn't get along with women. I said, I can't do this. Fast forward to where we are now with our spirit-led entrepreneurs. God said, I'm doing a mighty work with this. So your story right there just brought everything home for me. So I thought I was on here to talk about pride. I was on here to listen to. I needed that story right there. One, you have reinvigorated me.
Can I join the group?
Sure. Sure. Why not? No. But that's the thing. Pride will keep you from learning. Pride in this environment right here will have me thinking, oh, I'm on here so that I can talk about pride. So I can do so. I'm here right now because God needed me to be a captive audience to hear that story. So thank you, Leslie, for having me on. But thank you, Wanda. You have cleared up a whole lot for me. So thank you.
And you know what? Even Wanda, she's gone to school in that time. She's able to work with what's it called that you just graduated from with the hair
and continuing hair loss practitioner. Yeah.
Hair loss. You know, so many things was done in that period that you know she had what he said. He said he wants you to learn. The learning process was more than just at the boutique. He what you call it, broadened. He broadened, extended what he wanted you to do and so that means there's a greater place that he's getting ready to take you to.
And that part that you mentioned right there, most people miss the instruction that God gives you to the fulfillment of the assignment. The in-between part is where people miss it. There is work to do. Wanda, you weren't sitting there just twiddling your thumbs trying to figure out like, okay, well, for example, with our marriage, when I tell people it took 10 years for our marriage to be healed, I wasn't sitting twiddling my thumbs like, okay, well, that's where all of this work, the 12-12, the always journal, the 12-12, the forgiveness, all of the journals that we have, all of the workshops, all of those things, all of these stories and these the stories that I share and all of that is what was happening in that 10-year and beyond period. That's your preparation. But most people get so upset with, they'll be like, for me, for example, if I had gotten 2 years in and said, ain't nothing changed yet. 3 years in, even if I had gotten to 9 years and 11 months and I quit, some people quit like just like a second before. I'm like, oh my God. And it's so disheartening. This is why I had to become detached from the work. This is why I tell, I consistently tell people, I'm attached and detached all at the same time. Because y'all ain't gonna be taking me on no emotional roller coaster. Because God shows me what is available. And God shows me, but see, there's a part for me to do, a part for you to do, and a part for God to do. I am not going to clip anyone's wings by short-circuiting the process. God will show me in some instances, like the whole snapshot of everything, like boom, if they don't give up, it's there. Like it is right there. And then people come to me, well, I don't want to do this no more. I'm like, wait, what? What is happening? And all I can do is encourage. I can share. But if I were to say, God has shown me X, Y, and Z, then I am manipulating free will. I am manipulating I can't do that. And this is why a lot of times at the very beginning of this work, despise not the small beginnings, because heaven had to condition me that with a smaller group of people, because I was getting so engaged. And so God said, if you can't handle it at this level, you're not going to be able to handle it at a greater level, because even the more people, the more attachment. So this is why you have to, in that time period, God is conditioning you. See, I have to be conditioned. When God gives you an assignment, you can't allow pride to overtake the ultimate assignment. And you cannot allow pride to keep you in a space. When I tell you the things I have been called, simply because I have to be attached and detached all at the same time. I have been called insensitive. I have been called aloof. I have been called, it's a litany of things that I have been called simply because other people's pride will keep you stuck. Other people's pride will keep their perspective below what God has shown you. So when you have to get pride in check enough so that when heaven gives you an assignment, you don't ruin it. I can't people will say stuff like, some people say some hurtful things. Some people say some things that it's like, oh my gosh. Oh, are you serious right now? See, pride has a way of if you don't check it every day, somebody can say that one thing that will trigger you, and you'll be like, what'd you say?
I said it'll shape you.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, what the world call it, rage bait. Like some people would just be saying stuff, the enemy will use it as rage bait.
But it's a plan to it, because it's their pride that's manipulating and driving them and destroying their purpose, their destiny. And they put it on you. And if you're not careful,
right,
it will mess up your purpose and your destiny as well.
Exactly.
So when we started off at first talking about it's a spirit, oh yeah.
It is.
Oh yeah.
It is. And it'll jump from what? Now what you gonna do? Now what you gonna say? And this is why it is a daily, especially for me, it is a daily work. It is multiple times a day. People will hit me with certain things and say certain things. I'm still human. Like some things will trigger me and say, wait.
Who you talking to?
And this is let me sit with it. Like when I get ready to get triggered, I'll tell you, everybody that knows it, let me sit with this and I'll be back. When I say let me sit with this, it's either something I don't want to do and God's got to reel me in, something that I'm getting ready to say something that I probably shouldn't say, and I'm getting ready to knock the whole thing down, or I just don't understand. So you have to do what you need to do in order to put a buffer between you and pride. Because if you don't have that buffer, if you don't have that time to go into prayer and meditation, if you don't have that time, pride is going to win every time, because you're going to say something that you don't need to say. You're going to do something that you don't need to do. And then the enemy's going to sit back there and be like, now you got to clean this up.
Now what you going to do?
What you going to do?
Pride could have had me still there first, not listen to him, not trust him. Let's even go back further. Pride would have had me not recognize the pattern from before. And when it happened, I'm like, oh boy, I've been here before.
That's good.
But I really like this place, right? Pride could have had me say, no, I'm going to stay right here. Now, let me tell you what have happened, because he has everything set up for you. All you have to do is hear him and follow his directions.
Respond.
That was October 2019. What happened the next year, y'all?
Oh, COVID.
And that owner still wanted everybody's rent.
Wow, that's good.
That's
good.
Wanted everybody's rent. People were not knowing what they were going to do. We weren't making any money. People still waiting for unemployment to be set up, but them people did not care. They wanted their rent. And he was like, see what I saved you from? In the meantime, I'm at the salon. No booth rent was required. We were on Zoom almost every other week, talking to each other, keeping each other encouraged. The owners driving by with care packages, while the salon suite, they didn't care nothing about your situation. And they
were
so intentional.
Oh my God.
So intentional.
I got one for y'all too. So that intentional, I'm sorry. Oh, we over, but let me get this in real quick. So 2017, when I was released from my job, I was the only one everybody else, people get promotion. They're going to let me go. So that was a shock to my ego. Everybody else sitting there, didn't nobody know. This is how slick it was. They did it around the holidays, so people were in and out of the office, so nobody knew. That was God. I get it. But 2017 was when God released me. So the new gig that I have now, when God placed me there as a temp. I'd never temped before. And all of this stuff was positioning, right? So God positioned me as a temp because I had some more stuff I needed to work out. God said, you can't go permanent until you work all of this other stuff out, okay? So I went permanent with this firm in July of 2019. 28, I'm getting the dates mixed up, but it was just before COVID. So God got me on the system in time for me to learn everything that I needed to learn about this new job, brought me home. And then this department went full remote. Like our department, we don't ever have to go, but they don't even want to see us. Okay. They just like do the work and you're going to be all right. The other firm that I was at that they let me go, they still have to go back into, like after all of that ended, they had to go back into the office. God set all of this up so that one, I would be home, okay, in a full-time remote position. And it was during this time period that Mike was diagnosed. So I did not have to stress myself out trying to get back and forth to work. I was home when he needed me to be home, able to take care. When I tell you that God takes care of everybody. God took care of me. God took care of Mike. And then when God brought me home, this was the kicker. Our son had just come back home after his, we had to go through that whole, rehoming thing. So he was coming back home. And God needed me in the house because we had a whole lot of healing to do. And when God put me and my son and my husband all in the house at the same time so that we could hash all of this stuff out, because God put us, it was almost like a pressure cooker. But God said, I'm going to need you to get through this, because we didn't know about Mike's diagnosis at that time. And God said, I'm going to need the family to be united to get this done. And when I tell you the way that our children showed up, when I tell you the way our son showed up, when I tell you how perfect God is, so a demotion in God's economy is the best promotion you will ever have. Don't be afraid of God's demotion. Woo. Don't be afraid. I'm done. I had to get that out. But that demotion, when God demotes you, rejoice. When God puts you back in sandbox, rejoice. Because it looks crazy. And what looks crazy to the world makes perfect sense to God. I don't mind. Look, see, I used to pride will have you not wanting to look crazy in front of people. I specialize in looking crazy to people. You don't realize how many times people, that didn't even sound right. I can't even believe you said that. That's how I know I'm on to something. When it looks crazy to other people, then I know I have listened to God. Awesome. So thank y'all for having me. Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Liz, I've gone over, but yeah, I had to. That was. Ooh, that's good. Pride leaves clues. You can always tell when you slipping into pride. If you in and everybody agrees with you, if you once again are the smartest person in the room, if you, all of those things, send that list out. That list needs to be like somebody's wallpaper. Like y'all need to just have that, just like on, just
put it on Facebook. She did put it in the chat. I tried to copy, but it won't let me. So afterwards, I will put it in the description and in Facebook. That was.
Thank you for having me, Miss Leslie.
This was so good. So good. I just say, child, start. We don't even want to say listening, because one thing I love about Alicia, she always talks about hearing heaven. Baby, when he start talking, pay attention and hear what he is saying, because he is not going to, the best way I can put it, he will never leave you hanging. If he tell you to do something, he is not going to leave you hanging. Just keep your ear to the ground and hear every instruction and move when he tells you to move.
And learn to connect the clues. That's the thing. Look, on earth as it is in heaven, for everything in the natural, there's a parallel and corresponding occurrence in the supernatural. Earth is always whispering what heaven needs you to know. And I'll never forget when I was a little girl, we used to have, like, I used to have my little Flintstone coloring books and all of those things. But I used to also, my mom and them used to buy me those little connect the dots.
Oh, yeah.
Like the 1 to 2 to 3 to 4.
Yeah.
That is the world showing you spiritually what it looks like when you follow heaven's instructions. See, at the end of that process, if you connect the dots properly, you have a beautiful picture of a flower or a car or whatever the image is. And this is what heaven, and we have been educated out of our genius and our greatness so much that we have lost the ability to connect the dots. When you learn how to connect the dots and you connect the dots properly, then that keeps you going. So for example, we had an example. This is something that was so interesting. Like something happened. There was a situation, there was a conflict or whatever you want to call it. And so on its face value, it looked like a conflict. It looked like a situation. It looked like something that was very uncomfortable. But God said, no. I need you to connect the dot with this. So look what's coming ahead in a couple of days. So see, this dot connects to this dot. And see, this dot is going to connect to this dot. And this dot is going to connect to this dot. And when you start to understand that the dots in heaven's economy are the instructions, you don't want to miss another one. Stop missing the dots. Stop missing. And just like here in the world, when you look at those images, the dots are real small. And you got to look for the numbers and you got to connect it. That's how it works in the world. The world is so noisy and the world is so confusing. And that's by design so that you miss the dots. Don't miss another dot. Don't miss another number. I'm excited. Oh, I'm just waking up now, Miss Leslie. We can go now. I'm not an early morning person, but once I get myself going, I'm good. I'm just messing with y'all. Go ahead, Miss Leslie. I'm done.
Well, I can't say anything, but take heed. Even though you're hearing it from these women, it's from heaven. The Father is speaking to each and every one of us. There's a process. There's somewhere He's taken us. And if we don't stop, all the dots will be connected. And guess what? You'll see the bigger picture.
Amen.
So keep holding on. Don't quit. Don't look in the mirror and say, is life worth living? I think you heard enough today to know that life is worth living. And as we always say, and I'm going to end with this, a world without you is like a world without color. Understand that you are a part of the process. Till we meet again, have an amazing rest of the day. Hey, thank you to each and every one that has tuned in. Take a minute and hit the like sign, subscribe, and share. Someone needs to hear this message, and someone needs to know that it's not the end, it's only the beginning. Be blessed. And thank you, Alicia.
Thank you for having me. Bye.